Hi people, welcome back to my channel. That's really strange saying that. Today I thought I might film a Q&A of questions that I have either gathered or been asked in my comment section. First of all, I want to note that the transition from International Baccaleaureate, I won't say about A-levels, but International Baccaleaureate to university life is quite significant in a way you might not expect. I am not at Oxbridge, so I believe that would have made quite a difference. But for me, the International Baccalaureate was harder than first year. In the International Baccalaureate, we had to choose 6 subjects, including maths. I'm not someone who likes maths. In each subject, we had to write papers which contributed to our final grade, as well as an extended essay in one subject, which is the equivalent of an EPQ, but it's mandatory. We also had Creativity Activity Service, also known as CAS, and at university I threw myself into extra-curriculars because suddenly I didn't know what to do. Yes, I know, you've got assignments and you should be writing alongside it too, I say to myself, doing creative writing. But still, suddenly you are on your own. It's far less structured, especially from the IB where there were a lot more hours because of a lot more subjects. So I needed to keep myself busy to feel productive. Of course, living away from home, I also had to juggle cooking for the first time, laundry for the first time. Not at all daunting, you just press a button or so. Yes, it's a lot simpler than at home, but still. Shopping for the first time. Again, it's true that I did these things at home, but I wasn't completely on my own. And fortunately I had my parents via video call whenever I needed help. So it helped me settle in gradually, but also they were miles away. About parents, that helps to have them on video call. Did I ever feel homesick? No. Now this is something which is really strange to be saying because I would have expected to feel homesick. I was really excited. I joined a Discord unofficial server, I'm so glad they had that one, where I actually made some friends beforehand, which meant that I was not going in knowing no one. I had been there before, twice, to check it out and realised that Aberystwyth is where I want to go, but suddenly my parents had dropped me off and I was alone. It was really nice that a rabbit hopped in front of me just as I turned around after having said goodbye to my parents. That was lovely. I remember going in and realising I'm alone. It was exciting. I was actually the first one in my flat too, so I was completely alone in a flat of 6. I made some friends that day too, and in the evening I went round to theirs to say hello, which was lovely. I can just remember the excitement. There was no homesickness. I was not in my room much. I was just embracing living alone. And I did not feel homesick whatsoever. I enjoyed my room. I loved that I had a room to myself, fully decorated, with, I know, new bed sheets because I got them for my birthday, and they just brightened up the room. Photos of my family everywhere. It was the place I wanted to be. It was the best accommodation and I loved it. And yes, I did also say hello to some friends in the next few days, some friends I'd met online. So I remember it just being a lovely time and I would go back there again, but I would not swap what I've got right now. But still, I would go back there. I would love to relive that time again. It was just the excitement of suddenly a huge life change. Mind you, with a huge life change, your body has to get used to it. I don't know if it was just me, but I broke out into a rash. I thought I had bed bugs. That was a very stressful weekend. I think it was just a few weeks after I'd settled in. I would not want to repeat that again. I broke out into a rash all down my arm, I remember, and my parents thought that they were bites. I phoned the accommodation, the security. They were really quick at coming. They said they didn't see any. It was a new accommodation and there were no places for bugs to hide, bed bugs to hide, but they left traps just in case there weren't any. But before that, I realised, right, I need to sort this out. So they gave me a new mattress, and I had bed bug spray. I knocked the mattress into my phone. My phone fell on the floor and smashed. The screen smashed, but still I had to get that repaired. That was incredibly stressful because suddenly my phone was my only way to speak to my family, and they were suggesting moving me. I'm so glad they didn't. It was my place. I needed to settle in and I needed to stay settled in. Fortunately, it all turned out to be fine. Realised it wasn't bed bugs. The flare went down, returned to normal. Although I did smash my phone a second time. Shout out to the person who repaired it. We had someone at university who repaired it. Work in your gap year if you can. If you take a gap year and you want to work, save the money for university. So I managed to live off the money I had made in my gap year, which gave me some freedom and independence. I had a tendency not to buy stuff. I remember my mum convincing me to buy myself a sweet treat, and I wanted lettuce instead. I didn't want lettuce necessarily, but I thought it was better to spend my money on lettuce. Also, I went to the corner shop, Nissa, or CK's, whatever you call it, which was so convenient, but also massively expensive. After a while, my friends and I then did Tesco delivery, which was helpful. It got even more helpful when I got used to bulk buying. Still something I'll get used to again, but Tesco delivery was a lifesaver because the university is on a hill and shops are at the bottom of the hill, and I don't have a car. And so, having said that, when we do go to town, we usually get taxis up the hill. Yes, I think there's also a bus, but I didn't want to go to town to shop. I will this year if I don't get Tesco delivery. I will not be relying on Nissa that much. Not advisable. But still, I'm glad that I worked in my gap year. Now, Aberystwyth is one of the cheapest towns to live in. University towns, I do believe. And even though I was in the most expensive accommodation, it was one of the cheapest places. It was the most expensive accommodation because I needed an ensuite, non-negotiable, especially now, non-negotiable. And I didn't want it to look too like a prison cell. I wanted to feel at home, and it was perfect. I remember stepping into my room and thinking, fantastic, I love it here. I'm not saying the other places are bad, I've been to some of them, they're fine, but I felt at home in mine, and it was definitely something I wanted to do because I spent a lot of time in my room. I could decorate it and make it feel like home, and I loved it. I was so happy. If you're going to university, it's important to choose the right one. First of all, what do you want to do? I knew I wanted to do creative writing. I want to be an author. I always have wanted to be. Although you do not say that in your personal statement, because everyone says that. I always wanted to be, or I've always been passionate about. I won't talk about the personal statement, but that was my choice, of course. That was easy. I also didn't want to do it with English literature. I wanted the creative writing side and not the essays. Still, you have to still write critical commentaries, and essays aren't too bad, but it was not my passion. Sorry about the wording. I should have thought better about that. Anyway, so for me, first of all, narrowing down, I wanted a campus university over a city university. I wanted it to be on campus, a bit like a school if you could think about that. I didn't want to be in a city. Open days are very important. If you can go to an open day, go. Oh dear, the light is reflecting on my glasses. There we go. If you can go to an open day, go to it. It's very useful in making you see and visualise. Can you visualise yourself being here? I remember going to one and immediately thought, absolutely not. I do not want to be here. Don't quite remember what it was that gave such a strong reaction, but I did not want to be there, and I'm glad I checked it out. So just because everywhere has the same name of a course, it does not mean it's the same at all. I initially began looking at universities which were much closer to home, because going away from home for the first time, that's scary. Checked out all the universities near home and thought, the course is not for me. Aberystwyth had initially been one of my ideas, but I ruled it out because it was far away. I then thought, why don't I try Aberystwyth again? The course was brilliant, lovely, and I went there and just fell in love. I remember thinking, I can see myself being here. Then I went to the library for the library tour, a tour around the library, and just saw the sunset and thought, I want to be here as soon as possible. Support is another important factor. See what the university can do to support you if you, for example, need trouble. We've got hardship funds, for example, and we've also got support for mental health, neurodivergence. I'm saying of what I know about, and it has helped me immensely. It's very nice to know it's there too, and I got mentors, fantastic. Definitely made it a lot better because I had someone to talk to every week. If I needed help, I could go to them. Very pleased about that. And that was another reason why I chose this place. You won't necessarily get on with your flatmates, and don't be disheartened if you don't. I personally found 2 fantastic friends there, and I'm so happy. I'm going to be living with them next year. We cooked in the kitchen together, we chatted, we spent evenings together. It was so lovely, it made me feel so much better. I was the one who got out there. I would sit in the kitchen, just reading or doing some work, and just eager to say hello to anyone. And that's probably how we made friends, and it was just lovely to come back to people who I trusted. Sure, there will be issues. I won't go into them. There were issues, there always will be. Pretty sure there will always be issues. You're suddenly living away from home, away from parents. People are learning to be independent. But for me, it was a pretty good experience, and I count myself lucky, and I'm grateful for that. And next year I'll be living with them. It'll go well. For Fferm Penglais, if you are hating on Fferm Penglais, please note that not everyone who goes there is rich. Please. I see so much about, oh, you must be so rich if you go there. It doesn't mean people are rich. Maybe they have a higher maintenance, student finance or maintenance loan. Maybe they worked and they can afford it. Maybe they need it for different reasons. There's also an accessible one. Don't hate on people. You don't know why they've chosen their accommodation, and there is no judgment. The people there are so friendly. In fact, the people in any accommodation, I've met people from any accommodation. So many people are so lovely. There are so many lovely people at my university. I believe that's everything for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope this was interesting. I hope you also like my setup. It's quite motivating. I could have changed this. This will be one of my decorations. I have my Kindle. Definitely the best thing ever for my course. I love having the books and having it where I can annotate it, and also when I had the physical books because I wanted to buy them, carrying them home for Christmas, for doing the work for Christmas, over Christmas, was a nightmare because I went by train and I had a whole suitcase dedicated to the books. I used my suitcase because it had wheels, carried my clothes in a bag, and I had a rucksack. It was not advisable. I would not do that again. Obviously, if you can't afford it, which is fair enough, there's the library. Definitely good, very useful. I also have my Q&A 5-year journal, which I have been filling out every single day since I got it. It's very motivating to have it. Here's my laptop and its laptop stand. I hope you like my setup, and thank you very much for watching.